Greetings, everybody. This is Christopher Messina coming at you from the Messy Time studio. We have a very special guest today, this August 5th, 2021. Heshy Tischler, the man who should have won his primary election to city council in New York City. He's a longtime fan, a guest of the show. We're always delighted to have him here. Heshy, thanks so much for coming on today. How are you?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. You are a good man, and I love you. You know that. And I'm so happy to be on your show. I had to actually pull over for an hour and just relax and be prepared.
There you go, getting all ready.
But you're good, and you're right. I should have won, but I don't know how I lost. I'm not telling you any conspiracy theories. But again, I did not make deals. I did not play the money game, and there's another election coming, and I'm going to go right back in and dive in.
And it's the thing that I want to talk about today. A lot of listeners have kind of raised this as an issue that is topical, and I can certainly give a absolutely ridiculous, sardonic shout out to Hansi Cuomo, who is a street fighter extraordinaire. And today, apparently, I didn't see him, but I think the word that we're looking for is chutzpah. In Britain, it's brass neck. That after his own attorney general has come out with a ridiculously scathing report about the fact that he just can't keep his paws to himself when attractive women are around. Doonesbury, the old cartoon, used to refer to Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was the governor of California, and he had been similarly accused during his Hollywood days of being a little handsy with actresses. Gary Trudeau, the author of Doonesbury, referred to him as the Gruppenführer, which I absolutely love. So we think that on the East Coast, Hansi Andy can also be the Gruppenführer. But today, apparently, after hiding in his bunker for a couple of days and getting some terrible advice from his loser brother on Communist News Network about how to dodge all this, apparently Andy came out and gave some press conference where he apologized for being a bad boy. The best part is, as I understand it, is aside from the fact that apologize to who? Because who cares? The women that sued you are taking away the $5 million you made in your book deal, buddy. So I'd hide that offshore if I were you. But apparently, not only has he volunteered himself for being a dirtbag therapy or sex abuser therapy, whatever it is, but he's made all the rest of his staff endure this stuff. So not only has he abused people and made his own staff look bad by being such an abusive sleaze, but now he's going to punish them doubly by they're having to sit through classes to teach them about behavior that they already knew was no good. So the man is the gift that keeps on giving. And I had Rob Astorino on the show a little while back, as we call him, the next governor of New York. And if New York was irrational, he will be the next governor of New York. But all that's a big lead in an intro, both considering the number of voter turnout that occurred in your election, the fact that my wife and I left New York City, our long-term multi-generational home that we love and miss dearly, because on the first election night when Warren Wilhelm Jr., laterly known as Bill de Blasio, won election, he did so with 14% of New Yorkers voting, and you had a similar dismal turnout. So my big question for you, what are your thoughts on what lies behind the insane voter apathy, right? The same people who will answer a poll talking about how horrible the government is don't bother to go vote. They don't bother to go change it. So what drives this behavior? We live in one of the only societies truly in which if you get involved, you can change the government. The left is proving it. Sandy Cortez won a long-time Democrat stronghold seat as a socialist because she managed to get organized with a data scientist who drove a campaign. So it's possible. So what lies at the root cause of why rational people don't bother to go vote?
Again, they think, I was telling you before, I think it's money, it's greed. People are losing, they're lost. A lot of our people, it's not about God, okay? Because we all believe in God. Some of us are more modern. Everybody says, oh, America is lost. We're a sinful country. We do bad things, but we do believe there's a God. But bottom line is America is all about money, and the big boys have it. They know how to pay for it. They know how to con you out of it. And if you don't show up to work, or people, some of us can't take off a day of work. We're stupid. We should take off of work and go vote. We should make our voices heard. We should go volunteer. We should get ourselves involved. But again, we're broke, and people are struggling with their lives, and they have no other way to either generate the income, or they believe that even if they do it, what's going to happen is the big boys with the big money is going to win anyways. Why should I go? And it's true. The people with the money do control it because they're smart. They know that there's only a few people coming out to vote. If most of us came out, big money, billions of dollars, look at Hillary Clinton. She lost. They pushed. It was great. Trump fought back, and Trump had less than her, by the way, for his election.
Yeah, by a lot less.
And but again, people came out for him strong. He was very smart how he did his project back then. This time, again, the left had the money. Money wins. And sometimes people know if they're lost, you know, why should I go for the interview? Why do I have to put down a bid? There's no chance for me to win. You know, I feel so bad, especially for a lot of the minorities who are going to suffer now without vaccine card because they're not taking the shot. So that means they can't go into different. By the way, today we filed a lawsuit, not me, Letitia Romero, who's running for Brooklyn, for Staten Island Borough President. She and her people, I missed the press conference. We're going to have a big rally on next Monday. We are suing the mayor not to have the masks mandate, not to have the vaccine cards.
Oh, thank you.
It's going to go in. But again, we don't have the money usually. When we sued him to open the synagogues, our rabbis, our leaders gave up. There's nothing you can do. You can't beat the governor. Every time we beat him, he just filed something else. Finally, after 3 times, we beat him. And we were telling you last night on the show, well, he'll just make up another emergency declaration. But now with all the trouble he is in, he's not going to do it. But again, how did the mayor, without a state of emergency, without any emergency declarations, he's now creating his own stupidity with this vaccine. And we're going to give in. We are going to stand there because we can't fight it. And we're greedy because I'm going to take what I can do now, because tomorrow morning, if I don't go to work, or if I don't say what I want.
So that's interesting. I have a tendency, perhaps it's an error on my part, to believe that to look for some sort of I hate to use root cause, because that sounds like Kamala Harris, running away from the border because she's going to go like fix 9 countries that no one has been able to fix forever, instead of just, I don't know, closing the border. Crazy idea, I know. Kamala hint, the root cause of illegal immigration is not keeping them on the other side of the border. Take that, use it. So I hate talking about root causes that steal her thunder as she waits for Joe to die, God forbid. But your thought is, your thought is much more basic. It's at a practical level, voting times, weekday, whatever, the biggest impediment to people voting is something as prosaic as I get paid by the hour and I can't get off work, or I don't want to take off work for 3 hours.
Right. Or I don't want to. Yeah. Why should I bother? It's stupid. Why should I bother? I'm going on vacation, and if I don't go right now, we changed our voting. We go for signatures in June, and then we have the primary in September.
Right.
We now changed it. I don't know why. You're going to ask me why. To get signatures in the winter. Now, Christopher, you're walking with your little kid, and you're walking with a package, and I'm coming over. Can you please sign my paper? Right. I know you're going to be nice to me, but you know how many people are going to, when the freezing cold, is going to stop.
Cold out, the wind is blowing. You don't want to hear it.
And you forget about it. I have to bring you my name, my address. I have to sign it. I have to stand there, talk to you for 3 minutes. I'm rushing. It's raining, and you only have a few days to do it. So you're doing it in the winter. Then you have a primary when everybody's school is closed and half of the people go away on vacation. Chris, I'm going to hold back my vacation for you, stupid election.
That's interesting. So 2 things. And these are all...
On June 23rd, most people were in the Jewish community, especially in my district, gone. They were out of town. Their kids were in camp already on the 17th. Right. And it was foolish because September, after Labor Day, is when everybody's back. That's when we'll come to the elections. People feel maybe, look, I've been away, maybe I'll come back. again, people are not going to give up their vacation time. They're not going to give up their work time.
You're saying it's deliberate on behalf of the people running the elections to make it as inconvenient as possible. That's also really interesting, because to me that's what we call kind of a tactical issue, right? That I'm gonna make things, even if you want to vote, I'm gonna make it irritating enough that you're not gonna bother, right? That's a tactical issue.
Even the early voting didn't work with the poll sites. The machines were down or they were working. Now, Chris, everybody on the planet who has mechanisms and computers or who runs big places has a mechanic in-house or an IT guy in-house.
Right.
You're talking our Board of Elections had places where their computers were not working, their scanners being jammed. I have a full-time person always knowing how to fix stuff, and I'm a small operation. These guys did not have it. Computer not working, you can't sign in. Again, they're torturing us, and the people with the money knew which districts were going to come out. In my case, you keep the Jewish vote away, which was about 8,000 to 12,000 votes. Only 5,000 came out of the 12 or 15,000 regular voters. Right. So a guy, one councilman with 2,000 votes. I know you're going to say the mail-in votes worked. Impossible. You're talking over 200,000 people and only 2,000 mail-in ballots in my district.
Right.
I don't know. Again, conspiracy, not conspiracy. It's all about the money. And some people just don't have the time to waste. I'm not going to take my energy when I can focus it somewhere else. I know you think it's crazy. It's greed. The people in power have to control these elections because they know that if the wrong person gets in or the leader gets in that they don't like, they're screwed. They're not going to make more money. They're willing to blow so much money. Like a councilman makes 180,000 a year, even with all his bonuses and ripoffs, gets 330,000 plus stipends. Oh yeah, we're pretty good. So my point is, they're spending sometimes on an election $2-3 million. Now, calculate, he gets a 4-year term. Maybe he's going to walk away with $1.2 million, but he spent $2-3 million to get elected. I know
he's not spending it. Someone else is spending it.
I got you. He's collecting it, and he's only what? You think he's not paying back favors?
Right,
you think people didn't tell me if I donate, you're going to do this for me, you're going to do that for me? And I said, I know the industries I'm going to help. I'm sure I'm going to be. And I went to them and I told them, listen, this is my philosophy. Whether you're going to help me or donate with me, I don't care. But this is what I want. This, and if you really believe in my message, then come. But I wasn't going to make any deals. So we have a problem. It's all about the money. The guy who was getting elected in my neighborhood is going to do stuff for like my councilman now, Kalman Yeager. He saw it straight out. Heshy, what's the answer? He put a homeless shelter. Don't get angry. We have to put the homeless somewhere. I got you. In a community that's been building for the last 35 years. Right. They took slum buildings, neighborhoods that were infested with drugs and crime. We have our own patrols, cleaned it up, purchased the buildings. People have struggled, their property values have gone up. And now you take 7 buildings and you make it into homeless shelters.
Destroying all that value.
Argue with you, we tell you not to do it. Right. And he talks to these 2 developers and he approves it. And you know why? Developers are not going to make a lot of money. They gave the apartments cheap, but they get off all their taxes for the next 40 years. They don't have to pay taxes on their buildings. They save a fortune.
Well, this is nothing new. I think this is the details. The devil is always the details for people, right? And so what we try to elucidate is exact examples like this, right? Because when you talk about government corruption, it's all very vague. Right?
It's not corruption.
Well, again, but it is. It is
corruption. But my point is, somebody is profiting.
What I mean by corruption is you're distorting the normal functioning of a market, right? That to me is the corruption. And of course, they've gotten smarter. It's not the classic corruption of a paper bag full of $100 bills, because that you go to jail for, right? Everyone's got a cell phone with a camera, so you'd have to be brain dead to engage in like old 1930s style corruption, which here's a briefcase full of cash, make that building go my way. That's insane. But this is what I refer to as legal corruption, right? Nancy Pelosi and her husband excelled at this, right? They would know, and still to this day, you can't get prosecuted for insider trading in Congress. So Nancy and many other politicians, not just her, I'm picking her because she's evil, they would they would say, for example, steer federal funding towards construction of a new branch line of a subway system in San Francisco, say, right? So she's got the map of where that new line is going to go, and her husband and friends and everyone else would go buy property along where that proposed line is before anyone else knew it was going to happen. And then they would approve the $78 quadrillion from the federal government to quote unquote improve San Francisco and thereby line their own pockets. So it's helpful for people to understand that because if you just talk about it in the abstract, people have this kind of vision of a 1930s Jimmy Cagney movie, black and white, everyone smoking cigars and handing each other bags of cash. That doesn't happen anymore because no one's that dumb. But by allowing politicians to,
we do, by the way, we do have dummies, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. But they're weeded out pretty quickly in the process, right? But you got successful, meaning long-term parasites, who've been doing this for decades. And what's most painful is to try to get people to understand that it does affect you. Like if you we left New York City, right? I earned 14% by moving to the last free state in America, right? I don't have to pay that to Florida. What did I get for that? I got potholes. I've now got a city that is deteriorating into psychotic violence. I've got last time I checked, 19 cents out of every dollar a New York City resident pays in taxes goes right out the door to someone who already retired and is living on a state-sponsored pension, right? So you're paying a huge amount of money and you're not getting services out that you want. You're finding out to your astonishment when the Post bothers to do an expose that you've got toll collectors on the Verrazano Bridge who make $195,000 a year sitting there, and half of them are already getting a pension because they're retired cops who they were allowed to retire at 42 years old. All of that adds up. It makes your quality of life worse. It makes everything worse. It makes your struggles harder. It increases all that. And so what I'm always fascinated about is how do you not explain to people, or how do we not explain to people in the clearest language possible that the politics is not at some abstract thing, as the Italians always said, the pezzavante, what the rich guys are doing. They care deeply. But if you get focused, you can change it. And the apathy in America has just been growing and growing and growing. And I hate to say I despair for the nation. I hate to say it looks like it's unraveling. But how can we counter that massive indifference? It's got to be at the community level, right? I don't believe in grand sweeping gestures. How do people start to care again?
Let's start with the top guys. Bill Gates. The man is computer expert. I got you. A nerd, he's done good with his foundation. He's now, even though he was involved with many elections and so on, now he's involved with medical care. I mean, with the vaccine and giving us advice. He has no expertise, never had any experience on it. Again, he's controlling us. And of course, we understand it's the money. It's the bottom line is the money. We the people, you're right. It should be the little people. That's what I believed in when I ran, that the people are suffering. They're going through a tough time. We have to, like you said, civil war. I don't want no civil war.
No,
I know
it does.
Everybody's telling me, I don't want people to get hurt. And it's going to happen. Like my co-host Sawyer says, Heshy, we're going to fight back. We're going to have a war. People are going to die. I said, why? We stopped that. That's why we did that 250 years ago. That's why we did that 100 something years ago. No more revolutions, no more wars. I want peace. We were doing good. We, the people, must go to the things. We, the people, must volunteer. There's so many good organizations throughout the country, from Red Cross. Of course, there's corruption there too. People are always making money somewhere. 501Cs, again, always pocketing money on the side. And yeah, they do good. The people don't understand that they control all of this. But by being quiet, by letting your priests, rabbis, telling you or who to vote for, you're using your brain. See what it affects you. But people give up. There's nothing I can do about it. And if I fight with them, I'm going to lose my rent subsidy. If I go on this side, I'm going to lose something else.
Right.
We're right now repaving corners and curb cuts. When we didn't have Governor Cuomo about a year and a half ago, we could not have gas. That means if you built a new house, you were not getting gas into
Oh
your
yeah,
house.
because he stopped the pipeline construction. Right.
Wait,
And then,
it's better.
oh yeah.
If you had your gas shut off for 6 months or more, no gas. Now listen to me. That means no heat, no hot water.
Right. Oh yeah.
There's no. I don't care if you're disabled. I don't care if the kid is dead. I don't care if your family don't move into the house. We had to beg and fight. Finally, Cuomo threatened them. They laughed at him, and finally they gave in. People had to switch their electric heaters, and it's people who had money. The little people gave up.
Yep.
That's why.
But you know why there was no gas? Do you know why there was no gas?
They were saying
Cuomo banned the construction of a pipeline to bring more gas to New York Harbor because the environmental lefty lunatics told him you get is bad, and so he banned it. Therefore, Con Ed, whoever else is providing connectivity, they only had a limited amount of gas.
No, they punished us to teach us a lesson. Listen, Cuomo, shut up because and then Cuomo threatened him. But again, in the meantime,
Cuomo threatened them. He caused the problem.
But who
Cuomo's the one that restricted the gas supply in the first place. And then when normal people couldn't get a gas hookup because Cuomo had banned a pipeline bringing more gas in, he then decided to act like a champion of the people and went after Con Ed because they weren't providing gas anymore. But the whole reason they weren't providing gas was because of his ban in the first place.
Right, exactly. But again, how many people suffered? How many tens of thousands of children? I remember speaking to a supervisor and another supervisor. Each one, as you called them, the answer is no. I said, why? That's our policy. But you're a supervisor. You're supposed to look over each situation. Sorry, no. Special case. I said, special case. The kid has a handicap. The mother is sick. No, we don't. The answer was no. And you're right. After enough screaming, somebody's money. I just couldn't believe it that you let other people suffer for money. We have New York City Housing Authority, the worst landlords in town. People have flooding in the first place. And mold. I'm not talking millions, billions of dollars are being poured into that. If my house is just, today I had a boiler inspection. The guy said, your door doesn't close to the boiler room all the way. And he started to give violations. I said, 1 minute, why don't you go to New York City Housing Authority? The elevator doesn't work. There's no heat in the building. The guy has mold on the floor. You found 4 little things and you stood here an hour to do it. They just come after you. It's the money. And we're tired, we're scared. So we shut up, we hide, we keep we're too busy protecting ourselves, too busy fighting. I don't care about the polls because nothing is going to change. And really, people told me, no matter what, and some people even said, Heshy, when you get into office, you're going to be like them. And I said, I swear I would never do that. Look at me. Right, they tell me. It's good because now you're one of us, so you champion us. But once you're there, you're going to forget about us. I don't believe it. Yes, I've seen other politicians change, that they've turned bad. Not all of them. I've seen some good ones, very few. But like Mike Yeager is the worst, just hiding somewhere, I don't know where. And there are a few and they tell me, one guy met me the other day with the police officers. We were having, for crime out, because, today I heard a report, crime in New York is down. I swear, they said crime in New York is down. We're going to be the safest city in all of the United States.
Because they found a 1 week period that miraculously no one died from their gunshot wounds. They decided
I think that somebody was drunk or smoking the illegal marijuana, and he maybe made a mistake with his numbers. That's the only thing I can think of. And it's not true because shootings, 10, 12 a day, people crashing. Yesterday I saw a video of a guy driving down the street, crashing and running away from cops. It's just bad, and people are scared of the cops. People don't want trouble. When you go to the polls, there's a police officer there. Say anything, bring a long hat. The guy inside, now the people in the poll sites, they have a lot of power too. They walk around and they can scream at you and get you arrested if they think you did something wrong. I was standing at a poll site and somebody complained I was less than 100 feet away from the door. The guy comes out and I said, are you crazy? I'm a block away. And he starts counting with his feet and I'm following him. It's like 300, 400 feet. He says, well, the gate, and I said, you can't do that. You can't make up your numbers. He had the power to bring a police officer to scare me. If it wasn't me, one of my people at poll sites, he'd be scared, and they threaten. There's been people arrested at poll sites, at elections. So we are scared. It's really greed. I think the people are greedy, and even the poor people like me. I mean, not me, but people, my friends, we're greedy. We don't want to give up our time. We don't want to go there and waste it. Time is money, and there's nothing we can do about it. And we're not going to give up our vacation time for you anymore.
So in large measure, you're saying that the vast perception is these people,
you're wasting my time.
Why are you wasting my time? They're going to take from me, and all that's going to happen is I'm going to draw attention to myself, and that's going to be bad.
Right? And the more money that's spent, we're going to end up paying for it anyways. At the end of the day,
that is what drives me so completely insane, because you can have rational government. What is the budget of New York State is more than the budgets of Texas and Florida combined, right? Two big states. And New York State's budget is higher than those two states combined by quite a large margin, with fewer people than Florida alone has. So if the people voted in representatives, I mean, the best slate of candidates would be slates of candidates who walked in and said, I am here to do one thing: slash spending, fire civil servants, and go home.
I said that all. I said that all. They didn't want to hear it. And you know what bothers me? I'm going to give you an example. I work with the building department, the health department. I fight all these agencies. And you get a violation, you have to correct it, fix it, and pay a fine. The building department came up with a rule about a couple of years ago that if you don't fix it within 90 days, we're going to give you another fine. But the building department gives me 6 months till I file the paperwork. They keep rejecting me. So there's no way I can get the fine. So they give me a failure to file a certificate. It's a fine above a fine, and it's an aggravated fine because you're pissed off the city. Now the city said, well, since you didn't fix it in 90 days, we're not going to let you fix it until you pay us a $1,500 penalty. That's it. Now, if you don't pay me the penalty, you can't fix it. If you don't fix it, I'm going to give you a fine above a fine above a fine every 90 days. I have people who start off with $1,000 fine that ends up to be $30,000.
And this is happening to landlords who, courtesy of the federal government,
landlords, private owners, private homeowners. I have a guy now who got one of those special fines. And we looked online and we saw instead of $1,500, it's $3,000. I'm screaming at my partner, what happened? He says, yeah, the city just decided last week to change it. I said, during the pandemic. Who approved it? Who authorized it? How can you do it without people voting on it? They just right now doubled all fines in the city of New York. Now, you're building, I had a young couple here building a home, and I told them how much it would cost them to file the plans and the permits and the time frame. So you're not going to work in 2 or 3 weeks. Sit back, pay your mortgage for 5 months, not move into that house because I'm not going to get it for you. And I want you to know, add on 20% in soft costs, which means you're going to get fined, you're going to get shut you're going to get shut down, you're going to get more stop work orders, more penalties. If you don't think I'm Heshy, I'm better than everybody. I said, but I've dealt with thousands of people, and it just keeps happening over and over again.
And so, what drives me crazy is, does no one make the connection between that abusive bureaucratic assault on freedom and their lack of bothering to go vote for someone who will get rid of it?
They scream, they cry, they scream, they know the rule. And I tell them, let's make the changes. And they don't at the end of the day. And then they come to me with their problems, not only to me. And like the other day, one of our assemblymen opened up an oath office. You know, oath is the new legal department for the building department and sanitation for the violations. You have to go get your violation and fight them like a traffic ticket. It's their own little court. They then changed all the
court that importantly has an administrative judge that works for the agencies, not an independent judge.
They get $5 for every case they rule against you. But they're not the government employee, but they are. Now, they then they changed all the CPR laws. So you don't have to follow city charter or state rules. They have their own set of rules, their own set of codes, which doesn't make sense because it's not fair. You can't have different laws and codes. Okay. Now he brought these people into my neighborhood. They opened up one of those, vaccine tents. And he says, everybody calm down. When they came down and they start talking about the defense, these people didn't help them. They were telling him, yeah, you're guilty, and let's help you admit now. What they didn't explain to them, that if you admit, the fine will be even though you're getting a half a fine now, but there are civil penalties that you didn't know about that are hidden penalties. They're not telling you about it. You're giving them information that they're entering into the system when you should be like a traffic ticket. When you get a ticket,
Right.
don't go to court yourself, hire a lawyer, because even if it costs you money, he'll save you on the points. Because if you lose, yeah, it's $100, $200.
One of the
insurance
best
goes up,
things the cop
points
ever
go up.
told me, a traffic cop, he's like, people think that it's going to be reasonable. It's like, we do this all day long. I don't care about you. My entire goal is to get you guilty and meet my quota, right? So, and I took this to heart years ago. Very safe driver, but for one instance, I drove a smidge over the limit in another state. And I remember this cop friend of mine telling me this, that most people make a mistake. Like if the speed limit's 45 and he pulls you over, people will say things like, oh, I was doing like 50. Well, you've just admitted you're breaking the law. So I think I got stopped on a highway in the Midwest, probably exceeding the limit by a fair amount. Was unaware, of course. And when I get pulled over, cop said, how fast were you going? I said, 1 mile under the limit. And he looked at me, and to his enormous credit, he just stared at me for 10 seconds and roared with laughter. He's like, that's the best thing anyone has ever said to me.
Smart.
I'm like, I'm not telling you I broke the law. You're going to give me a ticket or you're not. Like, whatever. Yeah, so that's just insane. So you've got an abusive agency with an administrative law judge, which should be unconstitutional. And the idea that someone who's incentive, I remember learning about this in 3rd grade civics class, about the history leading up to the Civil War, that a judge in the border states would adjudicate a case. Like they'd find some guy and a white guy from Virginia would show up and say, that man is my slave. And of course, the man's like, what are you talking about? I've been living here forever. I'm a free person. And the judge got paid, like, call it 50 cents for every time he ruled that the black man was free, and he got like $4 every time he ruled that it was an escaped slave, and with the difference coming out of the slaveholder's pocket. So this is the cheapest way ever to buy someone into bondage, by lying in a court with distorted incentives. And apparently this still goes on today. And what you're on the front lines, you're trying to get people in New York to understand this. What pains me is so many people I know from northern states have left and come to Georgia, come to Florida, because they're tired of this nonsense. So it's not that there's no awareness of it. People like me vote with my feet, because when you try to get someone to change, they don't care. You know, I was shopping for a piece of land in Georgia, and part of what the guy was telling me, the county I was in, he says, yep, you can build whatever you want here. There's no inspector. Like if you build a house and it collapses on your family's head, that's your problem, right? We prefer you not do that. We have, county engineers who will provide you guidance if you want help, but there's no inspection, there's no certificate. It's ridiculous.
My problem here is, like Georgia, for example, they voted for Biden, whatever it is. I don't care, Biden, Trump. Here's the bottom line. Let's go back a year and a half ago. Gas prices $1 something.
Of course.
I'm not pitching this. Economy was doing good. It was on the rise. So no matter what you want to tell me, Biden pushed up the stock market by 2,000-3,000. It was on the rise anyways. You want to give Obama credit because he was almost there? Stop it. We had really things going well. Businesses. Yep. We were fighting the Russians. We were putting the Chinese. I mean, you saw the Chinese with the quotas, and now the Chinese actually could do whatever they want. We had them in their play, and he fought with them. NATO, Europe, they weren't happy that America said, listen, man, we want to share, but give us a break. We want something. Trump stood up and said, I'm here now, and I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. They didn't like it. No. The people, the citizens of New York went, or United States, whatever, voting real, not real. We put Biden in place. Things are going well. It doesn't make sense to make a change that maybe he might keep it or do better.
But you listen to the media, and they are the definition of Stalin's useful idiots. I'm
watching it. Just what's coming out of their mouth. It's like fiction, but it sounds so good, Chris. I sit there sometimes. I don't want to get dressed in the morning. I don't want to get dressed because what they're saying I know is a lie, and I'm scared to actually walk out because you people, not you, but you people believe it. I walked out and I'm embarrassed.
Terrifying.
My own brother-in-law, I have a brother-in-law in Jersey, and he was about everybody. We were all Trump fans, and every time we brought up anything, he went after us. He screamed at us. He got angry. He got angry. Biden, 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 and he hated us. I mean, I couldn't believe the hate. There's really some people that are so sick.
Oh yeah,
Elections are.
Trump derangement syndrome is a very serious illness.
And I said to him, but you made millions of dollars under the Trump administration. You became, no, but you don't understand. He's crazy. He's wrong. You have nothing to say about it. I don't care that Trump molested a woman. Biden did the same thing. Everybody talks like that. Let's grow up. Let's all grow up. Cuomo is an actual pig molester.
Oh, he's awful.
And he says that's one of his excuses was we're in a high pressured business, so you could, that's the way we act. I'm in a high pressured business. You don't see me molesting my women. You don't see me threatening them. Every once in a while, I have a tirade. You know what I do when I freak out? I walk into my office, slam the door, and start screaming at myself. Grow up. I'm 57 years old. Mr. Cuomo, you're a grown man. You're running a state, not a little business. And that's the way you treat your people. I liked Ellen DeGeneres, but you can't mistreat your people because you're in one of your moods. And that's why I'm scared of the police many times. 50% of them are going, I love the police, but 50% of them are going through divorces and they have issues. And what they will sometimes, very few, they'll take it out on us. When I was attacked by two people a couple of weeks ago. So one of my arresting officers showed up, a detective. And I said, get out of my place. You a woman, a Chinese woman, an Asian woman. I said, you're a vicious woman. You took it out on me. You made me sit in the car. You kept my hands tied. You don't understand. Let me explain. I said, explain? You have something to even explain that you made me suffer? And I'm screaming at her. Captain called me. I said, I don't care. Don't file charges. I'm not going to jail again. I'm tired of going to jail so many times. And I feel bad because you and I know the system. So many of our friends need us. Why do you think we do community service? Why do you think we love our fellow man? Because I believe in God. I believe in doing good. I believe in helping others because we're going to stand before the Holy Maker. Religious or not religious, we all believe in God. We all know at the end of the day, He's watching us, and we do bad, we'll apologize. We'll do something wrong. We have our sicknesses. Some people have bad sicknesses. I'm sorry. Mine is smoking and eating a lot, even though I'm trying to lose weight right now.
Right.
But
the two at least counterbalance each other. Smoking cigarettes represses the appetite, so it's not all bad.
It doesn't work. But we must understand that people are struggling. And sometimes I see, I have a man now who came out of jail after 10 years, Sing Sing. He's so happy. I gave him a small little studio apartment, maybe 175 to 200 square feet. And I keep telling him it's only for a little while. He says, you don't understand, I'm happy. And I went to get him some more clothing. No, I'm happy. I said, no, you can't only have 2 shirts. I don't want it. He thought, I said, you don't understand. He was so happy with the little he has. I'm sure as time goes on, I have others that will want more. Some people are happy with what they have and they don't want to lose what they have. And that's why we do good. Some people just want to take even our last dollar, our last building, your neighbor foreclosed. People call me up. Do you know people that are in not trouble? It's called you're in trouble with your real estate. I forgot what it's called. There's a terminology for it.
You're in default.
Not only default, but you're in trouble, that you need help, and you're never going to be. You're going to get in worse trouble. So they try to buy it cheaper, your property. They give you a quick loan, a quick discount. They take everything away from you. It's wrong. Do you know buildings that are that way? And I get angry at them. I said, that's not what I do. I want both sides to be fair. I want both sides to make money. Try not to take it. You're going to make money. What's that extra greed?
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. I do it.
New York City is greedy. It's greedy in the little ways. They just are willing to take advantage. And our politicians, the big boys, know us dumbbells are not going to come vote. They know when to change the date. They know how to make the money. The guys are saying, look, if I get my community not to vote for you or to go away and not vote or come up with a plan, their organization gets more money. You'll see organizations like we have an organization called the FJCC, a failing, bankrupt twice organization. Now, because they back the right people, they're doing well. Government funding. What the hell? When I have special needs kids that you're paying 8 months, 10 months late, but you have this FJCC or you have the Met Council that has billions of dollars for donations, but they're getting money from the government faster than us. I don't know. Some people, I believe it's the money. I know you want to tell me that it's God, that we're a bad country. We're not.
Let's put a pin in it here, because the examples go on, and we want our engagers, listeners engaged and excited. But I think we've hit the main points on this. The big stressor, I think, to kind of wrap up, is if you can wave your wand, like what's the one thing that, Archimedes said, you give me a lever long enough, I can move the world, right? What's the one thing that if you just pluck out of the political culture of New York City would fix huge amounts of these issues? Like what's the acupuncture that would relieve the stress on so many of these pain points?
Wow, it's not fair. You're not fair, because I got a list. You're asking me one thing.
But what's the common theme? Surely there must be a common. I mean, to me, it's simple. Removing layers and layers of government, removing the ability of arbitrary bureaucrats to screw with your life with no accountability to themselves.
That's the problem. You count that as one. You can't, because it's not one thing. It layers and layers, and you can't remove the whole government. I agree.
But it's all my thing is
disband the government completely, have the local people run it themselves. I mean, but then we have the local people, then we have the district leaders.
Here's a good example. People who've been abused by the police have been clamoring for, or they clamored for first body cameras, right? The police resisted that. They clamored for a range of accountability. They want to remove, whatever the legal structure is that basically gives a cop limited immunity for doing his job. Why not have the exact same thing for every bureaucrat in government? You could go and say, look, this jackass told me to my face for no reason other than I won't give him a bribe, or his wife wasn't nice to him this morning. He told me, I'm not going to give you a building permit. And without your building permit, all the plumbers and electricians, everyone you've lined up can't start work. He's got no reason for that. Maybe that's a solution. I mean, I just prefer you remove the layers of stupidity.
That was my thing. When I get into office, I'm an expert on budgets. I'm an expert with these government agencies. I was going to wipe them out, really. Destroy them completely and torture them and create and rebuild from scratch. You have commissioners.
Well, you had me torture them and get rid of them. Why rebuild anything?
Because we do need some leadership, not leadership. These inspectors are supposed to go out to advise and help instead of helping their animals. I have my local precinct. Most of my cops are good. The deputy inspector, the captains, they're great. But then again, you have the commissioner. The commissioner works for the mayor, and the commissioner, and it's like the police told me, my boss told me to do this. Right. My boss told me to stand on a corner, Christopher, where there are 14 red light cameras on a 30 block radius. Excuse me. I'm laughing because speed cameras, red light cameras, and the man is on a major throughway where we were taken from 40 miles an hour, cut down to 25 miles an hour.
Oh, crazy. I know.
Now the guy was
ride my brakes going down Ocean Parkway.
And we have to go block by block or 2 blocks. And the man is standing with a radar camera. It's finding somebody that goes not 90 miles over the speed limit, because you can't. Find somebody, and then he jumps into a main highway. I swear to you, I know you think I'm lying. The man jumps in front of a speeding car and stops them. And I asked the cop, well, I'm putting my life at risk for you. You stupid? Go fight the police. And we're sent here. They go away. I fight with them. And then at nighttime, they send somebody else. Why? Because somebody in my community is being paid or taken care of or being told, you want to be reelected? You're going to work with my department and shut up. We lost our garbage trucks for the schools. Why? Because one of our people did not want to cooperate with them. Really, we had a special garbage. Our schools, schools have lots of garbage.
Yep.
So we need a special truck for it just in our neighborhood. They took it away from our neighborhood because we didn't follow their new rules or bow down to them.
Right.
And then our community board went back and promised the world and gave them stuff so we could get something else. What's the one thing? I wish you were right. The one thing was to take away all these people, to take away the commissioners, let the people who elected appoint the people, move up in the ranks.
Sure.
And those are the people who run the show. And you have an oversight commissioner. We have a commissioner of homeless services who is so disgusting. Homeless shelters, he wouldn't listen. We argued, we made common sense stories to him on why he can't put a homeless shelter there. We have other locations for him there. Then when we showed him the other locations, he used both locations because it's all about the money. And we said, don't make homeless shelters, make senior centers. These people need supportive programs. We could work with them. No, you don't understand. We're going to take them off the street. That's the goal. I said, it's not the goal. Taking them off the street, you can't grab a normal grown man. I have people that I visit every week who are living on the street. I swear they will not go to a homeless shelter. And me and my son, look how they're living under a tarp, how he has his little wagon. That's his happiness. I said, you can't sleep here in the winter. Me and you, Chris, if we slept on the street 4 hours, 5 hours like that, we'd cry, we'd freeze. At night, we're dead. These guys.
You're kidding me? Slumming it means that I have to go out of my hotel room to get ice.
These guys, you feel so bad. And when they put on, you give them a pair of new boots or shoes or even used, they're so happy. That's not what America's about. But again, everybody has their little thing, and we, I don't know. The one thing, I'd love to destroy government. I'd love to clean it and rebuild it. Yes, that was my wish. I would. If I got elected governor, the governor could have fired the mayor or put the mayor on thing. Why isn't the new city council going to create that we can impeach or withdraw our mayor? They're not going to do it. Today, somebody told me, and I'm ashamed to tell you, that the governor has a shot not to be impeached now, that it was all a lie. But why? You promised us, you started articles. No, they're now opening up a new committee to review because the governor is playing the game real well. What could he offer them? What could he, everybody, the president, the lieutenant governor, the mayor, everybody's telling him not. Again, it's a game, and you're gonna watch that this man has to be impeached. We can't withdraw that. We can't do a recall like they did in Los Angeles because the law doesn't call for it. These people could have done it months ago, but again, our assembly is going to do it. So we can't even, but we could impeach him, not in the mayor. And these guys could create that law.
However he gets out or in or quickly, I can't,
you're going to be upset if he wins again.
I live here in Florida, the last free state in America, and partially it's almost somewhat by chance. Like, I sincerely hope New Yorkers wake up and vote for Rob Astorino for governor, if only to have fun switching things, right? If only to stop monolithic Democrat support of the state. Every one-party state in history always turns into a corrupt disaster because they can. There's no one watching them. There's no consequences. It's why I think 4 of the last 5 Illinois governors have gone to prison, because this is the tendency.
Right.
But the reason I say we're lucky, hey, Ron DeSantis has done a phenomenal job. He's really driven.
Stands up.
Screaming at Biden is nonsense. Like, as he said, Biden, I don't want to hear a damn thing about COVID and masks until you close the southern border, where people who are COVID positive are pouring across it in record numbers. And never mind, I would like to know, and you know them because you're nominally a Democrat, so if you could provide some insight into how the leftist mind works. So I have to show a driver's license to buy a car, to do almost anything in this world. But God forbid I'm asked to show a driver's license to prove I'm a citizen able to vote. That apparently is racist in some way. But I'm going to have to prove I've been vaccinated to go to my gym. I mean, I don't know how they cram.
No, stop. Jim, I can maybe understand, because I really can't.
Doesn't matter. Don't care. Jim was a bad idea.
Show ID to go to a restaurant. A restaurant.
Anything. Doesn't matter.
I know.
But the reason I say DeSantis, we got lucky, is it was a remarkably close election last time. And the lunatic Andrew Gillum he ran against is basically a male Stacey Abrams, but worse. Last heard from, he was shacked up in a motel room on the beach smoking meth with prostitutes. That guy was 30,000 votes away from being my governor during this nonsense. And he would have mimicked the insanity out of Michigan and New York and California. So thank God enough people voted for Ron DeSantis, and that's who we have during this period in history. Because this could be, just imagine Stacey Abrams running a state. My brain hurts. My brain hurts. Like, it would have been worse than Gretchen Whitmer, which is hard to do for the corrupt, flaky hypocrite stakes. She's like win, place, and show. So we'll close here. This is an interesting conversation. What I'm most fascinated by was the particularities of how you perceive why people in New York, even though they know everything that happens to them by an abusive government, and even though literally the only way in our system, and they should be glad that we actually live in a system that can change. Most other countries cannot change. Why they can't be bothered to get off their asses to just go vote against whoever in power. In fact, you'd be better off if everyone voted against whoever's currently sitting in power, because you get a whole fresh crop of faces in there. They might default to the same corrupt nonsense, but at least there'd be a chance they'd do it right.
I want Sliwa so badly only because I'd like to see a mix-up. I hope he does.
I think he'd do a great job.
Bloomberg was a Democrat who was a fake Republican. He did somewhat good, but again, we're promising you, the left, that we're going to give you all money for free. We're going to make the whole New York City green. And you know what they're doing? Everybody who builds a house now has to have either solar panels or a green roof deck. It's just crazy, which it's a lie, because you promised to give us rebates, which you're not giving, only if we do this, only if we do that. And we don't have enough square footage. So it's only for the bigger buildings and the richer people.
Right.
So the little people who have to do solar or green.
Much like the federal government took $7,000 a piece from working Americans so a rich idiot could buy a Tesla under Obama.
Right. And here's the craziness is that the little guy that was forced into the same law is not getting the rebate because he's too small of a job.
Right.
So we have to take it out of our pocket and we lose. We must stand up. We must make the changes. I want Sliwa in. Eric Adams is going to hurt us just as bad. I like him, but he's going to kill us. And the next governor, I'm hoping, no matter what, I'm embarrassed to tell you, if Governor Cuomo wins, I might have to, I can't fathom it, but I'm scared that, like you're saying,
you're scared
because.
Welcome to Florida. It's delightful.
I know you're beautiful, but it's
full of New Yorkers. You'll feel right at home. We did go gator hunting too. It's the best of all possible worlds.
I hate you because you didn't come to my deli that you promised to come. I would have maybe made you come back to New York.
Anyway, my friend, always a delight. Always a delight. Much love to the family. We will have you on again. There will surely be more news, especially as the writing campaign comes and the people in Borough Park can wake up and vote for Heshy. You can write him in and get some rationality in city council. New York is so near and dear to my heart, and watching it collapse under apathy and vast indifference is painful, as self-interested parasites suck the city's lifeblood out. It is distressing to watch because it doesn't have to happen.
Well, September 16, when he starts shutting down our businesses and jobs again, which doesn't make sense. It takes a month to implement this. He's going to hurt us. We're going to be bankrupt.
Everyone's got to ignore it. Everybody in America, everyone in New York has to ignore it. Leave your businesses open, leave your schools open.
That's what I'm saying.
Rack up the fines. Rack them up. What's the difference? You're going to go bankrupt anyway. Rack up the fines, and eventually there'll be a class action settlement and it'll all be washed away.
Well, they promised that. I hope so.
Ignore this fool. He's an idiot.
Well, I'm going to be standing here. I'm going to be standing here on the front lines, defending as much as I can. And if I'm arrested, Chris.
Hey, next time I'm up there, I'll be with you, standing with you, because this stuff is nonsense.
I know.
It is ridiculous. It is pure progressive totalitarian micromanagement, and the stuff needs to end. I'll close with the reminder to everyone: if you haven't read it in a while and you think it's only for kids, go break out your old copy of The Emperor's New Clothes. And if you don't have one, go buy one and read it to yourself and your family at least once every other day to remind you to ignore these idiots and their lies. It is ridiculous. Until next time, Heshy, thank you so much for joining us. And as
good to take care of your babies.
My old
kids, I love your family. You'll be good.
My old
Bye,
co-host
Chris.
always used to say, until next time, turn off the news and tune into Messy Times.
That's good because you're